making it through this third round tie against Newport with a 3-0 victory, and they are in the hats for round 4 that will be drawn on Thursday evening. Leicester taking the lead just before the break. A stunner from James Justin drifting in from the right, and a left foot curling shot kissing the post and landing in the bottom corner. It gave the Foxes a half-time lead, one that they deserved. They dominated possession. Newport defending deep and proved stubborn opposition, and it's certainly not the stuffing out of them as they went in at half-time. 2 goals in the second half, both from Leicester's number 9, Jamie Vardy. The first 20 minutes from time, found by substitute Mark Albright, and a ball from the right, a glancing header into the bottom corner on Vardy's 400th Leicester City appearance. And then a goal 8 minutes from time. This time Harvey Barnes bursting forward, feeding it through to Barnes, who went around the goalkeeper, got it onto his right foot and slammed it into the net to complete the scoring and to complete Leicester's journey into the next stage of the Carabao Cup. Jerry Taggart watching on throughout this evening. How do you sum up what we've seen?
Yeah, good solid performance. More importantly, another clean sheet, 3 goals scored. So yeah, you know, nothing too exciting to write home about. You sort of nailed it, John. Leicester controlled the game from start to finish. Newport never really threatened. They had 1 or 2 shots that never really troubled Daniel Everson, in all honesty. So, and good old-fashioned quick football causing all the problems, you have to say, you know. And one of the goals were a classic counter-attack, you know, vintage Leicester City counter-attack with Barnes providing Vardy. So yeah, all in all, good all-round solid performance this evening.
Just seen Jamie Vardy applaud the empty stands, joking with the players that they should go around all 4 stands despite only 2 being open. 2 goals for him tonight. Leicester now with 4 wins from their last 5, 6 clean sheets in their last 8. Who gets your nod as Leicester's man of the match tonight?
It'd be remiss of me, really, wouldn't it? I'm not going to mess about, but the main man has to get it. 2 goals, you know, keeps the momentum going, gives him another boost of confidence. You know, he's been short on goals this season, so I might as well top it off by giving him man of the match.
Just thinking as well, they're just showing the highlights on the big screen. Could have had a hat-trick, the one in the first half. He was unselfish, but he's got 2. And Leicester are in the hat for the next round of the League Cup as we head back to the studio for the analysis of this game to continue. Full time, Leicester 3, Newport 0.
Thank you very much, John. Yep, Leicester through. They're in the hat for the next round, for the 4th round, the last 16 of the Carabao Cup after a convincing victory here at King Power Stadium. Tony Cotty, Matt Elliott and Jerry Taggart will be with me as we assess that victory and maybe have a little look ahead, of course, to the game on Saturday. It's all positives except really for James Justin. Let's start on a negative, actually, because that is a big negative, potentially a massive negative for him personally, because you never know. Thursday, he could have been getting that all-important phone call.
It's all about kill the mood, basically. But a pretty convincing win, isn't it? But we'll come on to that. But yeah, James Justin, I mean, what type of injury are we, what line are we going down with that? I didn't really get the understanding of what was wrong with him.
No.
At the time, he didn't look too concerned. That's the one.
But to be stretchered off, it is.
Yeah, that's obviously not good at all, is it? And he was, you know, he was sat upright, but he was motionless, you know, for quite a while. And I don't know, it didn't seem to be anything trivial, did it? Because, you know, because he was just sat there, he sort of resigned himself to the fact that he was going to have to come off. He didn't look devastated by it, so hopefully.
He's had a horror injury before as well.
That's what I mean. The nature of how he received it, again, it was quite. The camera was quite far away at the time. I didn't see a close-up of it, but it was a contact sort of injury, wasn't it? You would think, but even that I'm not totally sure of. So I don't know. So we're talking about the unknown a little bit, which is slightly concerning. You know, I don't know if it was how he went down, or whether it was a contact made or a little twist. I don't know. Hopefully it's a little bit of an impact, and maybe I don't know. It might be superficial. Or even quite nasty, cut. Might be a stud that caught him. I don't know. I'm stabbing in the dark, really. But well, fingers crossed for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find out from Brendan Rodgers at full time when we speak to him. But apart from that, Tony, a really convincing and positive evening.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame about James Justin. You know, you just hope that it's not too bad an injury. You always fear the worst when a player leaves on the stretcher, but let's hope he's okay and it was just precautionary. But yeah, apart from that, I think Brendan, like very much like Saturday, he'll be delighted with the performance. I think Newport huffed and puffed a little bit, didn't they? Had a little spell to start the second half, put a few crosses in, never really created too much, and I think once the triple substitution happened, obviously Leicester a goal up, and then the triple substitution, you get the likes of Tielemans comes on and Mark Albrighton as well. It was still such a great squad team player, isn't he? And I think those two made a big difference in terms of just speeding the play up and getting the ball forward a bit quicker, really. And no surprise that Leicester went on and got the 3-goal margin that Matt predicted, that I wanted to predict, but I couldn't because Matt had already gone there.
Yeah, should have gone to you first, Tony, shouldn't I? We never want Matt getting the credit for anything like that, do we?
Well, we'll give it Tony as well, but it doesn't count for our predictions table anyway, does it? But yeah, listen, 2-0, 3-0, could have been more. Ultimately, it was job done, wasn't it? That's the most satisfying thing about it. And pretty much at a canter, really. As Tony's mentioned there, they weren't threatened too often, were they, Leicester? Newport didn't have too much to offer. The game was sort of fizzling out a little bit. Again, TC mentioned about the timing of the substitutions was pretty good. It did the trick, didn't it? Just enabled Leicester to see the game off very comfortably. Because at 1-0, you never still quite know, do you? But that man Vardy come and did his stuff, didn't he? 400th game.
Yeah.
Didn't make much of that before kick-off, did we? That in itself is some feat. Never mind the goals that he scored on top of it as well. But he's incredible, isn't he? Incredible. And he does it with a little bit of style, a little bit of nonchalance, a little bit of devilment about his play, isn't it? And his celebration. And that's part of what makes him such a top-level player.
Yeah, he's great value, Jerry, isn't he? It's as simple as that every time you see Jamie Vardy play. I'm sure there were maybe even supporters this evening that saw the team news at 6:45. Jamie Vardy starting. Actually, let's go down and watch the game this evening.
Yeah. Yeah, he's well, I was going to say something different, but we already know that, isn't he? He just brings a presence, a passion, a quality that, not many players have. And it's as simple as that. And I don't think anyone enjoys scoring more than he does. And the celebrations are something to behold. It seems like he rehearses them all before he goes out onto the pitch. So yeah, I mean, an incredible feat, number one, to make his 400th appearance. But number two, knocking 36, and he's still coming up with, still being able to make them runs in behind. The nonchalance of going round the keeper, then cutting back inside the defender who ends up on his backside. I mean, he's just got longevity beyond belief, to be honest with you.
And then to blast it in as well, Jerry, was pleasing. He could have just tapped it in, couldn't he?
But
that's not Jamie Vardy.
No, absolutely not. It's just proving a point. He's back, and that will do him the world of good, confidence-wise, Jamie. So yeah, things are looking good.
John mentioned it as well, Jerry, in commentary, didn't he? He said that it was quite fitting that on his 400th game he gets the goal, and it was Mark Albrighton with the assist with the ball. And how often have we seen him provide for Jamie Vardy?
I said in commentary, it's just simple football. You've got a player in the box who thrives on early balls coming in, and probably in the first half, Leicester were probably guilty of being a little bit over intricate. And then you look at James Justin's goal, great finish by him, but he grabs the bull by the horns, he drives inside and unleashes a shot. So he injects a little bit of pace, a little bit of impetus into the game. And then the second goal, it's good old-fashioned wide play from Mark Albrighton. One touch, he already knows where Vardy is, and he just delivers an early ball. He delivered 2 or 3 great early balls. Yuri Tielemans again delivered a couple of early balls that caused all kinds of mayhem. So yeah, but good all-round performance, you have to say.
His third was started actually, Tony, by Yannick Vestergaard at the back, winning the header from the free kick. And Harvey Barnes, we saw him drive forward at Goodison Park, and he did the same again tonight, didn't he? The timing of the ball to Jamie Vardy was perfect.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? I'm sure VAR would have done their best to cancel it if they was involved tonight. I'm guessing they weren't involved. But yeah, I mean, it was just a brilliantly timed run. You know, Jamie knows the game, and he knows how to make the run. And as long as the player that's got the ball has got the skill and the vision, and got their head up, and is aware of what's going on, which Harvey Barnes certainly is. There's plenty of players in this Leicester team that have got that sort of vision and that. And he makes his run. He's pretty much level with the defender. The defender tries to step up, but it looked like a perfectly timed run. And once he's through, the one thing that would have been going through his mind is what he did in the first half, because that for me was most unlike Jamie. I know he's not a selfish player, and he's not. I was a very selfish striker. I would have shot every single time, and the boys know that. But Jamie's not a selfish player, but he just made the wrong decision in the first half, because the defender came back, he tried to pass to Perry, got intercepted. So when you go through for the second time, you're then in your mind, you can have that little bit of self-doubt, but there was no self-doubt there. He just steadied himself, which was the right thing to do. He then feinted to shoot and dragged it across the goalkeeper. And of course, once he'd gone past the goalkeeper, out the corner of his eye, he could see the defender coming. And, you know, how many times do you see players that go to then stroke it in the empty net and the last minute challenge and they clear it, and he just turns inside. And I thought the funniest thing was the poor lad on the line who all he did was try and get out of the way of the ball instead of trying to stop it. But it was a sensational goal, because it was, you know, from one end of the pitch to the other, the timing of the run, the skill from Harvey Barnes, the weight of the pass, then the finish. It was it's just been sensational goal after sensational goal from Leicester this month so far.
It looked, Matt, as if Jamie Vardy was watching his goal back on the big screen, wasn't it? Yeah. When he was walking back to the centre circle, he had a little laugh to himself, didn't he?
Yeah, I was trying to work out which celebration that was. The first one, he did a little bit of a matador. Yeah.
Bow.
Intimation, bow to the Newport supporters, wasn't he? And then the second one, it was almost like he was waiting for verification from VAR that wasn't there. But he watched it, there was a smile on his face, and then turned his back and proceeded to point to his name. So, as usual, again, away supporters don't learn, do they? How many times has it happened? It's uncanny, actually, because I mean, we sort of jokingly say that will spur him on, but you're starting to think maybe there's something in it.
It does.
It certainly does spur him on, but he's pretty motivated anyway, isn't he? But the amount of times, even when he's scored, or his goal scoring, has been relatively barren for him. He seems to sort of, when he gets that extra bit of verbal volley from the away team supporters, he comes up with the goods, doesn't he? But mind you, he's done that more often than not throughout his career at Leicester City and beyond. But no, listen, wonderful timing for him, wonderful achievement, pretty much all through his Leicester career. But to get those 400 games and then to commemorate it with a brace, very nice. And he's just showing people he's not to be forgotten just yet, is he? There's a few stories, a few chapters left in the Jamie Vardy book yet.
Yeah, £1 million from non-league, Jerry. Eyebrows were raised, obviously, weren't they? What was it, back in 2012? But 400 appearances later, lots and lots and lots of goals later, trophies later. It's pretty special watching him week in, week out. Yeah,
milestones, records. He's bagged a lot as a player, hasn't he? And yeah, you're right. Back when he came from Fleetwood for £1 million, people were, they're pretty sceptical, it has to be said. And to be fair, Jamie would tell you himself that his Leicester City career probably didn't get off to the best start. But, like all good players, they knuckle down, work hard, and you get your rewards. And, he's got his rewards times many. What a player, what a finisher.
And obviously, as you mentioned his age, he's not going to go on forever. That's impossible. But it would be nice if he could add another trophy, wouldn't it, to his time here at Leicester? And why not this competition? Leicester into the last 16, as we keep saying. You get another couple of good, decent draws, particularly home draws, and you never know what might happen.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, obviously, you just seen by the team that Brendan picked this evening that, he's taking this competition seriously. you know, a momentum counts, you know, moving into the weekend. So, you know, he's put a strong team out. He could have added some players. You know, you look at the bench. There's a lot of players there who haven't had a lot of time on the pitch. Could have been very easy for Brendan to make more changes than he did. But he's gone with a strong team, and you know, it's paid dividends. And his star striker has got 2 goals, which will give him confidence moving into the weekend, which is, you know, a fantastic result for Brendan.
Just moving forward, and let's concentrate on this competition for a little bit longer, Tony, before we look ahead to that West Ham game. That, you know, Chelsea play Man City tomorrow, I think it is. Everton out this evening as well. You know, big teams will be out of this competition even in this round, and if you get the draw going your way, you never know what can happen. Leicester a few years ago know what it takes to win a domestic trophy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got as good a chance as anyone, Dan. And I said that before the game. I'm not saying it after the game. You know, you have these games, you know, against the likes of Stockport and Newport, and they can be tricky games. I think Leicester have, you know, they rode their luck obviously against Stockport in a penalty shootout. They was pretty comfortable tonight. You know, it was a good performance, but they just need a good draw. We'll see what it turns up for us on Thursday. But if you get a good draw, and then you just win that 4th round game. As I said, it's the first game back after the World Cup. So who knows who will be fit, who won't be fit, who will be playing. I don't think anyone knows, because we just don't know what's going to be the fallout of the World Cup for many reasons. But, you know, if they get a good draw, you win that game, the 4th round, you're then in the quarterfinals. And the boys will back me up on this. Once you get to the quarterfinals, you start thinking to yourself, do you know what? We might have a chance. This could be our year. And, you know, why not Leicester? You know, they've got great tradition in this tournament. And with the players they've got, with the players that are in form, why can't it be Leicester's year?
Before we do talk about the West Ham game, you can have the final say on that competition. And you never want to get ahead of yourselves. It's just one victory, isn't it? Or the second now. But why not, as Tony says?
Exactly. Regardless of the draw, I think whoever they come up against, if it's one of the, you know, bigger teams, they're quite likely to make a lot of changes. Brendan Rodgers he has made a lot of changes, but there's sort of quite often less impact on Leicester's lineup than there is maybe for other teams. You know, even though, I'm just saying, you know, this is sort of contradicting myself a bit. Man City obviously, you know, have got a strong team, whichever, but 1 or 2 injuries. But sometimes Guardiola might play, you know, put a few youngsters in there, etc., that aren't as experienced as the secondary players in Leicester's squad. Sometimes Liverpool have done similar, haven't they? Made wholesale changes, and other teams are suffering injuries at certain times, so that can have an effect. Leicester reasonably healthy on the injury front right now. James Justin apart, obviously, and obviously 1 or 2 others, but. Listen, we'll see. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
They're in the hat, aren't they? They're in with a shout. Long way off yet. Not too early to get excited, but we'll see how things develop.
2 games in a row, Jerry, that the Leicester City supporters agree with your man of the match. If you look on the right-hand side of the screen there, those of us that are watching, 64% have said Jamie Vardy, 24% James Justin, 8% Harvey Barnes, 4% other. But yeah, resounding Jamie Vardy again. So it's 2 in a row, Jerry, that you've got right.
Yeah, it's work in progress for me, isn't it? But there you go. I suppose it was the obvious choice. I'd forgotten about James Justin's goal, actually, because we were talking about his injury. I forgot what a fantastic finish, you know, by him. So yeah, I mean, that was an incredible goal and something that we weren't really expecting at that moment in time. So what a time to take the lead just before half time, when Newport were thinking, well, we're doing all right here. You know, we've settled into the game after a rough opening 15-20 minutes. Seemed to be coping quite well, started to get the ball rolling themselves on the odd occasion. And then James Justin, from almost nowhere, you have to say, just comes out with an absolute, you know, worldly, another goal of the month contender. So yeah, fair play to him. But, you know, Jamie was a constant threat, wasn't he? That run in behind, you know, just couldn't cope with it tonight, Newport.
Well, we were saying, Jerry, at half-time, when you obviously weren't on, you were maybe getting your cup of tea or whatever, but James Justin scored that goal at Stoke, didn't he, in the FA Cup?
Yes.
The year that Leicester went on to win that competition. You were there for that one, you saw this one tonight. Very similar goals, obviously different sides of the pitch, one with his right, one with his left.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And, another thing in Leicester's favour this season is they're not in the European competitions. So that's probably, a reason why you see, Brendan playing a stronger team tonight, because they haven't got the burden of travelling away to Europe and preparing for that. So maybe that's in his thinking, and hopefully that may well play into Leicester's hands.
Well, Saturday then, Tony, from a Leicester point of view, it's difficult. Hopefully we'll hear from either Brendan Rodgers or Chris Davis this evening, maybe get an update on James Justin. I don't know. The assumption is, if he's gone off on a stretcher tonight, he probably won't be available Saturday. That's a big blow for Leicester. You think maybe it'll be Castagna and Thomas then up against one of your former clubs?
Yeah, I think it could be. And, West Ham, one thing West Ham have got is good wide players, creative players, the likes of Ben Rama. You've got Fornells as well. They've got players that can play out on the flanks and create. So, yeah, it's important that Leicester get it right at the back. I hope he's okay, James Justin, but it was sort of bizarre in a way, because when you saw the replay, it looked like it was a kick. It looked like it was a kick to the knee, and he's gone down. Or did he do the injury when he's landed? You just don't know. But he sort of, the good thing is he was sitting up. He didn't look to be in that much pain, but they've obviously said, look, just stay still. We're going to put you on the stretcher, and then we can look at it once we get back into the dressing room, which was the right thing to do. But, if he is missing at the weekend, it's obviously going to be a big blow for Leicester. But Luke Thomas has done nothing wrong. I've always been impressed with him. He's got a great understanding with Harvey Barnes, and, I'm sure he won't let anyone down if he gets selected at the weekend.
And I assume you'll be there Saturday, will you, Tony? What are you expecting from it? Obviously, West Ham coming off the back of that really disappointing home defeat to Crystal Palace on Sunday.
Yeah, do you know what, Dan? I'm not going to be there, and I'm absolutely gutted, because obviously it's two of my old clubs. And I agreed to do a dinner in January this year. And obviously, I knew it was a Saturday, but I just thought, well, hopefully, whatever. I just didn't realise it was going to be West Ham Leicester, and of course the fixtures come out, and I'm absolutely gutted. I'm not going to be there. But there's big pressure on West Ham. They played at home to Palace. It was a really, really poor performance by them. Their worst home performance. Bearing in mind, to be fair to them, they've won 7 games on the trot at the London Stadium. So it's not as if their home form's been terrible, but it was a poor performance. And I've had all my friends, West Ham fans, ringing up and saying how bad they were, and should David Moyes leave, and all the usual stuff you get when the team loses a game. But they've got Blackburn at home tomorrow night in the League Cup. So obviously Leicester are going to have a day extra in terms of resting, which will work in Leicester's favour. But West Ham can't be as bad as they were on the weekend. They was really, really poor. And I know that, talking to the West Ham fans today, they are really worried about Leicester coming to town, because they would have watched how they played at Goodison. And if they play like they did at Goodison, they will give West Ham a real tricky match.
You will be there, won't you, Matt, of course, if you set off on time.
Travelling down, ever faithful professional that I am. Unlike Tony, doesn't check the calendar. But anyway,
hopefully it'll be the first time that you make it on time for the game this season.
Yeah, I didn't say I was punctual, but I'm professional. But no, I'll get there. And it promises to be a good game, doesn't it? I mean, despite what people say, and Tony will endorse it, but I think it's an amazing stadium. Really, it's quite spectacular. And now people have got over that initial period. The atmosphere can be, something to, well, not to be in awe of, but it's something to. You're pleased to be there and experience it. Really, it's a little bit alternative, but it's an impressive stadium, isn't it? Down there, and Leicester will fancy their chances going down there. We'll take a good away contingent, I'm sure. Hell of an atmosphere. Good game to look forward to.
Big game for Leicester as well, obviously.
Yeah. Well, exactly,
just as it was on Saturday away. And a similar away performance like that against a team that, as Tony says, have actually been decent at home but were really poor at the weekend. You'd expect another 3 points. If they play the way they play.
Yeah, Tony also mentioned, how big a game it is for West Ham as well. They've got their own pressures. And obviously, with the Leicester contingent ourselves, we focus on Leicester's fortunes and how pressurised the situation is. that's happening quite a few other places as well. West Ham being one of them at the moment, as Tony touched on. So yeah, the recent form is in favour of Leicester, and West Ham have been stuttering a little bit. There's a few sort of cracks appearing a little bit, and they're not so sure about the rhythm of their play, whereas Leicester are just getting into their rhythm properly. And as I say, I can understand that the locals are worried with Leicester coming to town, but you've got to go and produce a performance, haven't you?
Elsewhere in this competition this evening, I mentioned earlier, Everton are out. They lost 4-1 away at Bournemouth. Lincoln beat Bristol City by 3-1. Same scoreline for Burnley, they beat Crawley. Milton Keynes Dons beat Morecambe 2-0 and Charlton beat Stevenage on penalties. Brentford and Gillingham actually is heading into extra time there by the looks of things. Well, extra time added on time before penalties, 1-1, so Gillingham will be very pleased with that. Away at Brentford. Jerry, obviously looking ahead to the game Saturday. Leicester have had a really comfortable evening tonight, haven't they? They've not really had to get out of second gear. We don't know what West Ham might do against Blackburn, who have been doing well in the Championship tomorrow. Yeah. So an extra day obviously for Leicester to recover and prepare. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying it makes all the difference, but it definitely helps. That is for sure. And it's another 6-pointer, isn't it? You look at 18th slot on 12 points. Southampton, Leicester, West Ham, both on 14 points. 1 goal separating them on the goal difference front. So it's a massive game for both clubs. Both clubs need to get a result out of this game on Saturday, and Leicester have been in great form, so you'd like to think that they'd go into that one more confident with the momentum that they have got at the moment. But that's not to say that the pressure that is on West Ham at the moment, that won't tell for them in their way. They can fight back and say, right, we're not losing this game today. So it's a massive game. And even bigger, I guess, Jerry, in the sense that it's the last one before the World Cup. Yeah, absolutely. There's all that. You've got a month, to have that playing on your mind as a manager, as staff, as players. Assume that the majority of players will be involved, or some of the players will be involved in the World Cup, but for the rest of them that aren't, to lose your last game, potentially fall into the bottom 3. And have a month to stew on that is not where you want to be. So it's a big game for many different reasons. Obviously, just from a West Ham point of view, similar the fact that they've got this game. Leicester have got an extra day, Tony. The way Leicester have been playing, particularly away from home, you've said yourself, West Ham fans will be slightly worried heading into the game on Saturday. Yeah, they will be, without a doubt, and I think Leicester can play into that really, because if they do what they're good at, we all know how good they are at counter-attacking. But if they play anything like what they did at Goodison, then they will really fancy their chances. Leicester, the crowd were a bit edgy at the game that I went to, the West Ham Palace game. There was a few moans and groans, and moaning at a substitution, and then a few boos at the end. So. It wasn't particularly good viewing if you was a West Ham fan, but that will work in Leicester's favour. Leicester go there full of confidence off the back of a fantastic run that's only been broken by a wonder goal from Kevin De Bruyne. Leicester have got absolutely nothing to fear. Just go there and play. And if they play like they did at Goodison, then, I certainly would expect Leicester to get at least a draw out of the game. It's a Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff. That means Matchday Live will be back from 2 p.m. Big thank you to Tony Cotty this evening, to Jerry Taggart on co-commentary, and as ever to Matt Elliott. Good luck and safe travels down on Saturday. I'm sure you like to remind you that you're going down. I'll set the alarm clock, mate. Yeah. Thank you everyone for of course watching this evening, as Leicester City are through to the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, and on his 400th Leicester appearance, Jamie Vardy was the man again, scoring twice.